Year 5, welcome back. How you doing? Right, what I wanted to do, just for today's session, is have a think about how far you've come, all right? I am no artist, as you can see, but you're climbing that maths mountain. All right, this is your 25th lesson. So just think about, some of the kids in your class who maybe haven't done any maths. You've done 25 lessons more than them, so give yourself a pat on the back, all right? Really well done. We are going to go through some things that you've done in those 25 lessons today. All right, so you can see the first question's a multiplication. I would suggest using you could use your grid multiplication, but I would much rather see column multiplication used, yeah. So for the first one, I would do 6 times 8, and then I would do 6 times the 2, which is obviously a 10, yeah. For the E, F, and G, you've got to think about, so for the first one, 30 times 40, well, could you do 3 times 4? And then you make your 3 10 times bigger, so you make your answer 10 times bigger. And then you make your 4 10 times bigger, and then you make your answer 10 times bigger again. Yep. So what we're doing there, remember, is we're using known multiplication facts to help us. For H, I, and J, how much change from a £10 note? Well, the simplest way, and the way I would suggest you do it, is just count up from, say, the £7.20. Do your frog jumps up to £10, and whatever you've added on is the change you get. Next to a quarter of 16 and 2/3 of 9. So remember, I'll write it underneath. You've got your fraction, which is a quarter for the first one of 16. So the first thing you do is ask yourself how many of the bottom number goes into the amount, and whatever that is, keep that answer in your head and multiply it by the top number. Okay. And then the last two, factors of 30. Remember, factors are the numbers that we can count up in and always land on 30. For instance, I'll give you a clue. 10 is a factor of 30 because I can go 10, 20, 30. Yep, 9 isn't. So 10 would be, 9 isn't, because 9, 18, 27, 30. If I count up in 9s, I don't land on 30. Yep. And then multiples, remember, I can multiples of 5 are all the numbers that I land on when I count up in 5s. Yep. So take your time. There we go. Pause the screen now. Press play when you're ready to go through the answers. Good luck. Okay, so for the first one, we had 168. 45 times 8 was 360. 23 times 17 was 391. 42 times 24 was 1008. And then for these, I will have to write the answers just to the side because I've run out of room there. First one was 1200, 1200. Next one was 3000. And the last one was 2800. How much change from a £10 note? Right, I'll do these in my head. So I'm going to count up and it gets £2.80. Next one would be £3.65 change. And then the last one would be £7.57. Well done if you got those right. A quarter of 16. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So a quarter of 16. Remember, I ask myself, how many times does 4 go into 16? It's 4. 4 times 1 is 4. And 2/3 of 9. How many 3s go into 9? 3. What's 3 times 2? 6. Really well done if you got both of those right. For some reason, working out fractions of amounts is something that pupils find hard to remember. So really well done if you got those right. Okay, factors of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 8. And they are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 20. And usually in a test you would only get the mark for that if you got them all. Okay, so really be careful with your factors because it's easy to miss them out, isn't it? And the last one, write down 2 multiples of 5 between 250 and 300. So if I count up in 5s, all the numbers I land on are all the multiples of 5. So any number between 250, actually I'll get rid of the, so any number that's 255 and 295. In between that ends with a 0 or a 5, give yourself the marks, okay? So you could have had 260, 265, 265, 270, 275, 280, and on up to 295. So really well done for having a go at those. And like I said, you're doing really, really well. All right, I'm proud of you. Look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Maths is fun.